Perfect. Hello, and welcome to Bliss Beauty Balance Conversations. So today I have Michelle King Keenan here with me, and she is a lifestyle blogger for women over 40. And I get the greatest makeup tips and clothing tips, fashion tips from Michelle. She knows how to make magic out of a t-shirt. So, hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you? You look beautiful.
Thank you. To anyone who's watching this, I don't normally look like this on a Tuesday. I am doing tutorials and videos today on evening, wedding, glamming yourself up. So please pardon this excessive moment on a Tuesday.
That is so awesome. That is awesome. So recently, like I said, I get great ideas, great fashion tips from you all the time. And recently I saw your TikTok videos. You had like a 4-part TikTok video where you were curling your hair. And it really, really touched my heart and inspired me. And I thought, I need to have a conversation with you. And my community needs to see you because to me, you represent a bliss, beauty, balanced woman.
Thank you.
And you resonate with very similar to my life mission and my business about feeling good, being pretty through all situations. And I'm going to ask you to kind of explain your story, how you got started being this lifestyle blogger for women over 40.
Okay, sure. So like Lori said, my name is Michelle and I am almost 46. I will be 46 next month. I am a mom of 2, married, the whole 9 yards. And 5 years ago, 6 months after I turned 40, I woke up in the middle of the night with an itch and I found a 3-centimeter tumor in my breast. And within 2 weeks, I was diagnosed with HER2 stage 2 breast cancer. I was in a chemo chair within 4 weeks, bald within 2 weeks after that. I did 20 weeks of chemo and I did a double mastectomy with full reconstruction. I've had 4 reconstruction surgeries, my most recent being this past May, and hopefully that will be my last one. So that's just a little bit about when I went through chemo at 40, I think everyone thinks that it's like trying to put a positive spin on it. Nobody prepared me for an extreme weight gain. It also made me go into chemical induced menopause. And they had told me if you are under 40, it will come back. If you are over 40, it might not come back. It won't come back. And I was somewhere in the middle. So I did go through menopause at 40. So take all of those things. I gained about 60 pounds. I was on heavy steroids. My face was just swollen all the time. Chemo does a lot of very visual damage, or for lack of a better word. Physically, there's no way to hide everything that was going on with my body. My skin broke out. My skin was now forever like so dry that my skin would flake. So to say that I was in a dark place about my physical appearance was an understatement. Not to mention being petrified that I had cancer with 2 small kids. And I very much struggled with looking in the mirror. I did not recognize myself. I have always been a habitual weight fluctuator. I've always been somebody who is plus or minus 20 pounds, to be really honest. But I have to say, I've always been somebody who's been somewhat comfortable in my own skin, no matter what weight I was. However, my typical body shape, my whole life has been hourglass. Take a menopause moment, a double mastectomy, that went away. And I now not only have a postmenopausal body where weight has settled in different spots, but my proportions have changed due to my double mastectomy. And I now went from having an hourglass shape my entire life to an apple body shape. And that it was foreign to me. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to look in the mirror to feel good about myself. I didn't know how to do makeup to cover these new things on my face that were never problems before. And I went to social media to learn and to be inspired. And I really felt like there were not women that were in my stage of life putting themselves out there, really sharing those things, my weight, my height, my menopausal moment, my age. And then I started sharing things that worked for me, things that I learned, things that made me feel good about me. And I started my social media platform. And so that's really how I started.
Wow. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that story. Oh, I don't know why we're having a little freeze on the computer. But thank you for sharing that story and being vulnerable. Because number one, a lot of people will see you with these great ideas and your confidence on TikTok and Instagram. And people always tend to judge sometimes, like they would like you and they're happy, but without knowing your story, sometimes people say, oh, well, she's just lucky. She's born confident and she was, might have went to school for fashion. And, we don't always know the story behind it. And, thank you for that, because I'm sure people can relate to it. And I think it was, you showed strength, and I believe that it was a passion for you to say, wow, I need to share this with other people. Is that, kind of what
Yeah.
happened?
So I think what one thing I feel like my girlfriends and I will have conversations, or my sister and I, or and there are common themes, I think, for all of us in this 40 moment, right? This midlife moment, where we say, oh God, I wish I looked like I did when I was 25, or oh, pre-kids, I looked like this, or the other end of the spectrum is, when I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I think it's always really interesting to think about when you were 25 or when you were 30, those times when you were thinking, look, like when you reflect and you think you looked amazing. When you looked in the mirror at 25 and 30, in those moments, you were complaining about something in that moment. Oh, I wish I looked blah, blah, blah. We're never satisfied. We are always trying to be somebody we're not. And we are always our worst own critics. And I just think that life, I had cancer. It puts things in perspective, and life is freaking short. And I was so tired of saying, God, I wish I looked like I did, or when I lose the weight. I had to figure out a way that I could look in the mirror on a Monday morning and feel good about myself. Because if I did not figure out that, it trickles down to how I was to everybody around me. If you don't feel good about yourself, you kind of suck. But if you look in the mirror and you can say this is vain or not, but this is real life. And I think anybody would be lying if they said if they look in the mirror and can smile back at themselves, that they don't feel good. Looking in the mirror and feeling good. And it doesn't mean makeup. It doesn't mean hair. It just means whatever that moment is. When you look at yourself and feel good about yourself, it is a domino effect of your mood and how you treat other people, how you tackle your day, your motivation. If you feel good about yourself, you are just going to be better at life. And that's something that has been eye-opening for me. And so I always say to people, learn how to dress your lumps and bumps. Learn how to weigh
Love that.
you are not comfortable with them. Find styles that fit you today. Stop holding on to those old things. And listen, if you make healthier changes in your life that result in weight loss, and that's amazing, but stop saying when and
When,
but now. Like, why can't you feel good now? And that's where I think nobody focuses, and that's the most important. Why are we waiting? I don't understand what we're waiting for. And we're not waiting for
yeah.
if you spend your whole life waiting, you're not going to enjoy it. So if you figure out, I always say to people, anybody can wear clothes. Anybody can wear makeup. Anybody can do hair. But not everybody styles it. And I know that people think of the word style and styling as being intimidating. And this is what I tell people. When you put things together, when you learn how to put a couple things that make you feel good about yourself, whether it be, you know, where to put the type of shirt that makes you look the best and the best mascara on your eyeballs. When you look in the mirror and your first reaction is to smile, you have styled yourself. And style means confidence. And I just stress to people, a million people can tell you what to buy, but nobody tells you what to do with it when you get home. And if you learn a few tricks, if you watch a few videos of somebody that looks like you, somebody who is your age, who is your weight, who has the same body struggles, and you see them trying something, they're going to be inspired. You're going to be inspired by that and say, oh, I can do that too. And you become your own styling person. And when you style yourself, confidence comes. And with confidence comes power. And with that power, life gets done with passion. And that's what
I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, I just, and just so everyone knows, I am 5'6". I am 200 pounds. I am a street size 14. And that's okay. I've been 240 pounds. I've been 170 pounds. I'm a habitual weight fluctuator. I don't care about the number. If I know how to dress my situation, as I call it, it's just your situation, then you can figure out all the other pieces. Just know how to work with what you have.
And help yourself to find that confidence that works for you. You just encompassed so many things that I want to say, but you just encompass so many things. So I always, as a hairstylist, since I was a little girl, I felt like you felt like, when you look good, you feel good and all that. And when you do your hair and wear the nice clothes, and how when you put your red lipstick on, you feel better. And then I became a yoga teacher, and I learned how all about the present moment, the now. When I took the yoga, that taught me about how, oh my gosh, we have to live now. We have to be happy now, no matter what. We have to find ways to feel good now. It's all about the present moment. And a lot of times in my yoga classes, I talk about our body is a temple. We've heard this for years. I've been using the reference that our body, think of our body as a house. And you want to feel good on the inside, and it's okay to decorate the outside. Everyone with their homes, we like to keep up the outside nice, and we like to keep the inside clean. And some people, might feel it's vain to talk about the outside, but decorating your body on the outside and finding a way to feel confident on the outside, is important. And people need to know how. And I just love that when you do that on the outside, and then vice versa. you know, it's then you also learn the tricks to feel good on the inside, but it all complements each other when you think of the body as a house for the soul, and what you need to do for that, and to live, and what kind of things you need to put inside your body, and what each individual person might want to do on the outside of their body. And I mean, back to the fashion a minute. You, the other day, I saw you did something with the bracelet and the tie, and
Mm.
you turned a shirt. You made yourself have that hourglass figure. And what was so great about the way you did it is I've been seeing other women on TikTok do this.
The
And I
best.
was saying to my mom, oh, but the way they were showing it, I didn't understand it. The way you did it, I now can do it myself, because you weren't just putting on a show. You explained to people how to do it. And when you learn these tricks, which you guys will start to watch her and see which video I'm talking about, but when you learn these tricks, because everyone needs to put it in a different spot for everyone's unique body. So they're making shirts now where they have the tie in there, but it doesn't sit right. So when you can take it and do it yourself and, put it in this spot, so it's just it's so beautiful. And you found a way. The other thing is you were in a dark place and you found a way to feel good. And I'm sure it wasn't easy and it took time and everything, but you found a way to feel good because you're alive now. So let's live. Let's feel good, which is just amazing.
I think if you've been sick, like I was, I think, first of all, I think it was a blessing that I had young kids, because that's a distraction. You can't be crawled up in a ball on a couch, crying, feeling sorry for yourself, in front of kids. And I'm not going to say I don't have dark days still. And there's not a day where I don't think about having had cancer and how it affects me. And I have a lot of issues that I look like Frankenstein under here. And so I'm not going to say that I have this perfect outlook, but I do try really hard to make the choice to stay out of the rabbit hole. And I think when you choose, I think cancer or a sickness, this could go for anybody who's been divorced, anybody who is single, anybody in this age group, right, where life has just been a little overwhelming, not what you expected and not what you were prepared for. I think if you choose to make ways to make those things in your life not change you forever, or change you, well, I shouldn't say not change you forever, but take those changes and make them work for you, then you're in control. So you have a choice. You can sit there and let all of these horrible things that you didn't plan for take over your life and make you feel like you're not worth it. Or you can decide that it's time that you feel beautiful again and feel like yourself again. And I know it's really hard to get to the place where you feel like you are worthy of that. And I also know that a lot of women don't feel like they're worthy. And I think the 40s are lonely, regardless of like how full your family is and how amazing your marriage is. I think there's just something really lonely about this age where we're kind of lost. We're not young, we're not old. Your friends were kind of like your kids' friends, parents, and then they've all kind of gone their own way. And then you're kind of in this moment where you're just kind of stuck with yourself. And I think a lot of us do a lot of reflecting and are really disappointed about how we've let ourselves go, and so we can either sit there and let that just be, or we can decide we're not going to live like that anymore. And I always say to start with your eyeballs. I don't care what anybody says. There is not one ugly eyeball on the planet. And you can't say your eyeballs are fat. You can't say that they're wrinkly. You can't say that they're not, there's no eyeball that's not beautiful. So maybe change a mascara and or if you've never worn mascara, put a little mascara on. Maybe put on a little eyeshadow. Just a little something that brings out a smile in your face. Earrings always fit. You could be somebody who never wore earrings. Go get yourself a pair of hoops. Like these little tiny changes where you're prioritizing what you see in the mirror back to you and what that can give you. Because not everybody has the time or commitment to, a gym regimen, or, that's intimidating to them. A diet is intimidating. Like for me, and some people might call it vain. I call it survival. It matters to me. It matters. I care about what I look like. And that doesn't mean I'm out, wearing craziness, but I want to feel good about myself. And I don't think you should be embarrassed for that. I have lots of friends who've never worn makeup before, and they feel embarrassed to put a little makeup on now because they're worried about what other people think. And I always say to them, they're going to talk about you anyway. So whether you look like you crawled out of a dumpster or you look like you're going to the prom at the car line pickup, they're still going to talk about you. So who cares? If you like it, you should do it.
I love it. You touched upon so many issues, and it's so true with the midlife. You just touched upon what couple of things that so many people are going through, and it's kind of like time to get back to you. Okay, time to get back to you. And okay, so now what are we going to do with the rest of our lives, and how are we going to feel good? And I can't tell you, for years, I've been a hairdresser for over 30 years. And the clients that sat in my chair, we've have all these conversations between my clients, between my friends, and especially with the clothing, and wanting to know what we're supposed to wear, and how the stores don't have anything for 40 plus women, because they have, it's from the teenage to frumpy things. So so that's what happened when you were looking to say, oh my gosh, so you're such a big help for the people in that category, just all around, inside and outside. Your philosophy, your mindset, and then what you do. And people do need this encouragement, because they don't realize, if depending on, if they don't have a job where they're around people, they don't have a community, they don't realize that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones going through this type of thing. And what kind of advice? Well, you kind of just gave a lot of advice, but what kind of advice do you have to someone that would be maybe, I mean, going through the cancer, is, heavy duty, but going through cancer, or going through something during, post, what would you say?
Well, I mean, I think if you're in the cancer moment, there's not much I can say. I think everybody's experiences are their own and they're personal. And I don't think one person's cancer is more important than another's. If you are diagnosed with a stage 0 cancerous, tumor, or you are diagnosed with a stage 4 cancerous tumor, that phone call saying you have cancer is just as devastating from one person to another. So I always hate when people belittle their trauma. Everybody's trauma is valid. Everybody's trauma is equal. Never compare yourself to somebody else. Like, oh, well, I can't tell you how many people will say, well, my cancer isn't as bad as yours because I didn't have to go chemo. I shouldn't be complaining. Well, that's not okay, because it's just as traumatic as it was for you as it was for me. So don't take away that validation. Um, I also think, oh, I was going to say something and I'm trying to think of what it was. Um, so I think that if you're in that moment, don't ever belittle your trauma. And that goes also for divorce or dating or whatever you have going on. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. If it is something that's heavy in your life, validate it and deal with it. They'll put it on the back burner and say it's not important. If it's important to you, then you have to deal with it and you figure out a way to deal with it. I think that my biggest thing, if you're in this cancer moment, and let's say you're bald, like I lost all my hair, my eyelashes, my eyebrows, my breasts were amputated. There's no way to hide that I was sick. There was like the world knew. And I lost my train of thought again. Hang on, because was important and I wanted to say it.
That's
Oh,
okay.
to just know that it's not forever. It seems like it's forever. My piece of advice is when I met with my oncologist, the first oncologist I saw, she was the most scary, overwhelming human being I've ever been in a room with. And my husband and I left there petrified. And she basically said, Michelle, you are looking at 2.5 to 3 years before you look like yourself again from the minute it starts. That's overwhelming. That is not doable. That will send you right off a cliff. My biggest piece of advice is to think about in your head, what time frame is manageable? And then process what you can do in that time. So for example, I found my tumor on St. Patrick's Day, and I knew that I was going to have 20 weeks of chemo and have my double mastectomy at the end of September, and that it would be a 6-week recovery. So I knew in my brain, I'm like, okay, Easter to Thanksgiving doesn't seem like that big of a time frame. So I just need to get to Thanksgiving. I can do that. And so I took what I had to do up until Thanksgiving, and that's the only stuff I thought about. And I got a little necklace that said Thanksgiving, and I left it next to my mirror, and I didn't wear it and I didn't tell anybody. And on a day where I felt like I couldn't do another round of chemo, I looked at that thing and I saw the word Thanksgiving. And in my brain, I was like, okay, Thanksgiving, 3 months, you can do this. You've got this. You need to break time down into manageable pieces of time. Same goes for any life moment you're having. If you know that you are going to be going through this crazy divorce and life is going to be all over the place, or you know that you're caring for, a sick parent and it looks overwhelming, this 5-year plan is too much. Just break the things up into small periods of time and tackle those periods of time as you can, because that will make it doable. If you look at the big picture, it can seem overwhelming. And I think you can apply that thought process to lots of things in life. And so that would be a big piece of advice I would give anybody, especially if you've just been diagnosed with cancer. The big picture is too much. Break it down into small periods of time and know, okay, I'm going to start chemo today and it'll be over by Halloween. I can do that. Halloween, and focus on that. And that really, really helped me get through 3 really hard years.
That is great advice. And like you said, that advice with that kind of one moment at a time, one day at a time, chunking it down for anyone that has anxiety for any reasons is just the best advice. And I do want to say, like, we're not just saying, I think it's obvious, but we're not just saying, like, okay, you have cancer and, put on some eyeshadow and you're going to feel great. I don't want anyone to think that we're minimizing anything. And I don't think it sounds like that because you told your story, but because it's like you said, it's not that every day isn't still tough, but you just use all these techniques to keep yourself out of the rabbit hole. So, we always have to sit with our emotions no matter what we're going through. And these are just, we're just encouraging ideas and ways. And it's just your story. And I think in your story, there's so much great enlightenment within there that people could resonate with and that you inspire people with.
And I have to say that, like, while I was going through chemo, I did not have this positive attitude in terms of dressing my body for what it was. Um, I wore my wig for one day and I felt like an imposter and I hated it. And I wore head wraps for the rest of my bald time. I wore fake eyelashes because it made me feel like my old self. I did draw on eyebrows because it made me feel like myself, because you do feel lost. You look in the mirror and you feel lost. Um, for me, most of me tackling and embracing who I am now really came at the, more toward the end of my, I hate the word journey. I hate that word. But my cancer treatments, and I I realized that these changes were forever. And that's a very hard pill to swallow. And that's where I made the decision to figure it out.
And one of my questions is, how did you get, I think the passion came from you getting on Instagram and TikTok. How did you know how to do it? This is a question that my friends ask me in the over 50 years, that how did you even know how to get on Instagram and TikTok? Did your kids help you?
No, no, not at all. I just figured it out. I started posting makeup tutorials as I was learning and sharing things. And then during the pandemic, I posted and went live every single day because everybody was stuck at home. And every day we did our makeup together, because even though we weren't going anywhere, it still made me feel good about myself. And I posted every single day and went live every day. My social media platform, I have been very patient with the growth. I've been doing this for about 3 years. I don't want people on my page that don't belong there. It's a positive, uplifting place where only people who want to be there should be there. And so I have always been very selective about where I post, when I post, how I post. First and foremost, I am a mother. I will never embarrass my children. It could be the most awesome filthy song on the radio and I love it, but I will never do that because I would not let my kids do that. I'm very aware of not embarrassing myself and getting caught up in like social media cringy trends. I just want to be relatable. I want to be somebody that's your friend, that you trust, that you can relate to. And my community it's like the most amazing group of women. The amount of people that, I'm sorry, do we pause? Sorry. The amount of people that have now started to post. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. You keep freezing, but I could hear you through the whole thing. So that's good.
The amount of people who take my styling tips and now post them on TikTok and tag me, it would bring tears to your eyes. People,
it does when I see that. I'm like, it does.
And people, that's been one of the biggest responses. I record myself watching these videos and we post it, and the pure cheering section in the comments from other women building other women up is outstanding. There are thousands of comments on some of these where just telling, Mary Smith, who just decided to post her first TikTok because she felt good about herself, and everyone just building her up. It is just a beautiful, beautiful community. And it grows every day in the best possible way. I'm super selective about who and what I want to work with. I will never, ever, ever, ever share a link or tell you to buy something that I do not personally own. Ever. There are thousands of people, if not millions of people out there that can do that. This is a space for things that I love, kind of like Oprah's favorite things. Like, that's what I do. And I share things that work for me. And I think people really like watching somebody who looks like them. I don't use filters. I don't use fancy angles. Like, I am authentically myself, and I won't apologize for it. And I'm not always everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. And we are a space where everybody's welcome to feel good about themselves.
Thank you. And you really are relatable. And that's why I want to share you with my friends and all my clients that have these conversations and would appreciate it. And you can totally tell that you're authentic, and you're helping me because I need to go online more and share my message. And it's amazing how consistent you are. That you.
Yeah, I crave following other women that are my age. It's just it's missing from the puzzle. There's so many social media bloggers and people that you can follow, but chances are I'm likely a decade older than them. And while I like their content, I'm not going to baby showers. I'm not chasing a 2-year-old. I want to know somebody who's trying to figure out how to pick up their teenage daughter from a party and not, lose their mind on her. I want to follow those, I want to follow the people who, want to go away for the weekend with their husband because they still really like them and, want to reconnect. I want to follow those people. I don't want to follow 30-year-old who just had a baby. Like, that's great, but I've been there. I've done that. Like, I need something that I can relate to. And I think that's missing. And I think if you are a 40, 50 something woman, come and share, because we want friends. And I want to tell you, I have made some genuine, beautiful friendships from strangers on the internet, like people who are my friends, who I look forward to talking to every day. And I have met some of them in real life. And social media does not have to be this creepy, terrible place. You can meet some really beautiful people.
Yes, and thank you. Thank you for making it cool for our age group and welcome them. And now, I'm also showing people who you are and come and be our friends, and you can learn, because people, especially since the pandemic,
Yeah, everyone, the pandemic really threw us all for a loop. I think a lot of us don't even know how to be around each other anymore.
Yeah.
The current climate of the world is overwhelming. Life is overwhelming. And there is so much divide. And I kind of think a lot of us ladies have, regardless of what your political views are, where you stand with religion or whatever, most of us are feeling the same things about ourselves. And that's what we have in common. And why can't we help each other?
Exactly. And I'm so lucky being a hairdresser, because I've been around that gives me my social life, and being around women and hear what women go through of all ages. And most of them are my age and older, maybe, but for so many years I've gotten to do that. And sometimes women would sit in my chair, and if they weren't around that, they need that woman companionship where do I go shopping? What do I buy? How do I see those people use those accessories? How do they do it? And like you said about styling before, so many people I know as a hairdresser, people would buy products, but they wouldn't know how to use them. And just common sense things, and then things, they'll be very self-conscious about so many things. And then when they talk to other women our age, like, oh, okay, you go through that too. Okay, here's a trick for that. You know, not everyone has that. And especially since the pandemic. And I don't want to go into a big tangent, but as a hairdresser, that was crazy when and it doesn't, I'm not saying, about, doesn't matter if you agree with it or not, we all got shut down. And there
That's a
was so
fact.
much more to being a hairdresser than just my job and my career. It was also connecting to people and in that room. And now for myself, even, social media has filled some of those voids, like you said, meeting the friends on social media. So I thank you, and I'm going to send people to be your social media friend and get advice from you. I really appreciate what you're doing, and you
Thank
are
you.
the
Everybody
this beauty
welcome.
balance lifestyle. Well,
Exactly. And like, I just think that everybody is welcome. And as long as you're kind and respectful and build each other up, I think that my platform can turn out to be a, like a movement. I kind of feel like it's going to be a movement where we just take our lives back over. And I hope that you guys join.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's yep. I agree. Thank you. And do you want to just say, I'll put in writing, but do you want to just mention your sites, the names of them?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just my name on Instagram and on Facebook
Yeah.
and TikTok are all the same. It's Michelle King Keenan. Two L's in Michelle, and Keenan is Keenan. Um, and just come and enjoy. And if you don't like it, you don't have to stay. But I think I think you'll find it to be a place that you can relate to.
Thank you. And thank you for inspiring me and sharing your story.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Let me